Are you a mom who needs a break? You've come to the right place. Join me and other moms weekly to hear biblical wisdom and our own journey as mothers. This is Moms on Break. You are listening to Moms on Break, and this is part 3 with Marlene Colburn. Marlene, thank you for joining again today.
Thanks for having me, Stacy.
It's been really good, and this is going to be no exception today. We have a great practical topic. We're titling it Nature Exploration, Making It Practical. And we like to start by looking at Job chapter 12, verses 7 through 10. And they say, "But now ask the beasts, and they will teach you, and the birds of the air, and they will tell you. Or speak to the earth, and it will teach you, and the fish of the sea will explain to you. Who among all these things does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this, in whose hand is the life of every living thing?" That's appropriate.
I love that verse. And, Job is really amazing because there's a lot of questions answered. If you turn to Job 38, my little subtitle in my Bible says, "The Lord reveals his omnipotence." And you walk out in nature and there's so many things we do not understand. And I always tell my kids, if you understood everything, why would you need God? So I think he leaves a lot of questions unanswered. And one of the things, we had some snow here back about a month ago. We had some last couple nights ago too, but we had quite a bit back a while ago here. And the thing that I, brought up to my kids is it talks here in Job about, have you entered the treasury of snow? And my kids said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, it's like you go to the bank where all the money is. Have you been to where all the snow is at?" And so God is asking these questions of Job, and I think he asks it of us too. And it just gives you this wow, like, oh, I never thought of that. How big our earth really is, and how amazing the creation that God has given us to think about and contemplate what an amazing creator God he is. So
yeah, it puts it into
I love Job for that.
Yes, it puts us into perspective. We're little.
Yes,
we're the ones to learn. we're the created, not the creator,
Yes.
and we need to focus on the creator and all that he has for us to explore.
Absolutely. Well, I think today we're talking about kind of the practical, the nuts and bolts of making nature education, nature exploration, whatever you want to term it, nature experience. What does it look like? And the last 2 parts to this series, we talked about the benefits, and then we talked about overcoming the obstacles and the excuses that a lot of times we have of just getting started and getting our kids out in nature and getting ourselves out into nature. So I thought I'd, first of all, just talk just briefly about our mindset of getting outside. And I think a lot of times as parents, we do such a good job of keeping our homes clean and our kids orderly and things like that. And when we walk outside, we have to kind of let go of a lot of that. And I think, the number one thing, we come from a very academic background. You sit in school, you hear them lecture, and you got to learn, memorize all these names and parts and pieces. And when we get nature exploration is very different from that. This is not about going out and knowing all the names of every type of moss or every type of tree, although that's great. And if your kids are interested in that, that's definitely a really fun thing to do. But I think if we can see nature exploration as more of an experience than it is knowing all the facts, and getting kids out and asking questions, what does that leaf feel like? And why do you think it's that way? And, just getting them thinking. And there's not necessarily looking for answers, but just putting questions in their mind about what they're observing and helping them to think more critically about that, and just to really appreciate what they're seeing around them. So, and
I like
certainly
that, Marlene.
certainly it can lead to studying the details and the facts about certain aspects of nature, but I don't think that should be our primary goal when we're getting outside.
Well, that just
So,
makes it so much more accessible to all of us moms who
yeah,
may not feel like we know
absolutely.
everything about nature, but we
Yeah,
don't
and
have to. Yeah.
absolutely. And I think that's an important point is a lot of times a barrier is, well, I don't know anything about anything outside. Well, you don't
hmm
have to make it a team effort.
Go
And
explore
I mean,
together.
yeah,
hmm
I've got a fairly rich history of nature in my life.
hmm
But honestly, I mean, I think I mentioned before, I had been a nature director at a summer camp for years and years. So
hmm
I'm used to handling snakes and lizards and stuff. But if my child is holding a lizard, which they have all the lizards around our house named,
Oh, that's
here, mommy, you want to hold it?
great.
I'm like, oh man, you are doing such a good job of holding him because I really don't want to, but I am not going to tell them that. And I think if we as parents can make sure we don't communicate our own uneasiness with the slimy or gooey or yucky quote aspects of nature
hmm
and just
hmm
let our kids explore and don't ever let them feel like they might have fear or let them take risks essentially. And I think
hmm
that's a really important thing
In
to
nature.
do. And yeah, and that allows our kids how I mean, we never know when our kid might be the next world's greatest entomologist. We have no idea. And if we're going,
Yes.
ooh, don't touch that bug, or oh, don't do that, oh, don't step in the mud. And kids don't have barriers unless we put those barriers there. When you think of a little kid, they're two and they want to take their shoes off and put their feet in the mud puddle and stomp in the mud puddle. And we as parents go, oh, stop. You're going to get your clothes dirty. Well, maybe we need to dress them appropriately so that it's okay
hmm
to
hmm
let them get dirty. Because oftentimes we're the ones that put those barriers. And then the next time they're the one telling their friend, oh, stop, don't do that. You'll get dirty. When in reality, we want them to be experiencing nature and just enjoying it. Even if
hmm
it's barefoot in a safe place outside and things like that. So I think our mindset has to be a little bit different. There's a quote that I love and I have to always remind myself of. There is no bad weather, only bad clothing.
Oh, yes. I've heard that
So
before. That's
yeah,
very
I love
good.
that. And it really kind of takes away all those excuses for it's 20. Yesterday we went hiking and it was 25 degrees out and we bundled up like Eskimos and it was great. Um, so we have to just kind of change our mindset about things. So
And give that to our kids, a
yeah,
new mindset on this
absolutely.
that they'll love it, especially if they see
Absolutely.
us getting involved with them in it.
Sure.
hmm
And I think the question of how much time do we need to spend outside? Every family is different. Some kids are homeschooled, some kids are in regular school. We homeschool, but we're also very busy with other things going on in our life. We have a lot of music that happens at our house too, so we're pretty busy with things. But I try to build in time outside every day. So maybe a walk that turns into playing in the creek. So I think one thing, if you're intentionally going out a couple times a week, some people just do like one big day outside every week, or as a family, they do something together. But if we can go prepared, and I think that's one thing, we get out and then, oh, they got their socks wet. And now they can't walk in their shoes. So if we can go prepared, I love to have, I call them nature exploration backpacks.
Oh,
So,
yes.
and we'll talk
Oh,
about that towards the end too.
mm.
But go prepared with a first aid kit, with a bottle of water, with a towel, a small, even if it's like just a hand towel to dry their feet off, an extra pair of socks or rubber boots to get in the creek if it's, I mean, my kids play in the creek all winter and they just wear rubber boots and they're building dams and they're looking for crayfish and stuff like that. So being prepared, we love to go thrifting. So we go to Goodwill and thrift stores and I'm always watching for animal cages and aquariums and like crayfish traps and things that they can catch live animals in and just observe them and enjoy them. So
That's
magnifying glasses,
great.
stuff like that. So,
Oh, that's
always be on the
great.
lookout for things that you can
And
have available for your kids.
Get those play clothes there at the thrift store too,
Yes,
so that they don't
absolutely.
feel bad about getting
Get the
dirty.
junky clothes. Whenever their jeans get a hole in them, they officially become play clothes.
Yes.
And they have a separate place in their drawers for them. And I say, put your play clothes on. We're going outside. So, and I don't care if they get dirty. I don't even bother to try to wash the, stains out. We just wash them good. And when they fall apart, they go in the trash, and we get another set of play clothes. So,
right.
But
there's
anyway,
no worry of messing them up. Yeah,
exactly. So, and I think that there's probably kind of two different types of nature time that we can spend with our kids. We can have that unstructured time where they're building forts and just doing whatever they want to do outside. And then you can have the structured time where you go out and you look for object lessons in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of a guided, parent or child guided. You say, today we're going to see how many different types of trees we can find. Or maybe in a forest school approach, you go out and you say, let's see how many different colors we can identify in nature, or how many shapes we can find. Can we find triangles and squares and circles? And I mean, from a homeschool perspective, this forest school approach is an awesome movement that has come up in the last few years, where there's actual regular schools that will spend one full day out of the week, or maybe they do the entire time outside, and they're learning how to build fires, how to chop wood, how to build shelters, kind of survival skills, along with appreciation of things in nature, learning about animals and animal homes and different types of trees and herbs and the use of things in nature.
I can see the sky is the limit once you get started.
It is, and you can get hooked really quickly because there's so many cool things to learn outside. So the forest school movement is a really big thing. There's also a movement, and I'm not as familiar with this, but the 1,000 hours outside, where people actually log their time outside and the experiences they had, and they're aiming for 1,000 hours. And, that may look different for different people. It might be for some people, they do that in a year, and other people, they do it in 6 months. I don't know. So everybody's different in how they do that. Or people will log miles of hiking. Maybe they're really into hiking, and they say, we're gonna hike 500 miles this year. And as a family, they do it 1 mile at a time. And, so everybody kind of finds their own little niche of what they're interested in.
Mm-hmm. And it's fun for their family to get involved in nature. I like it.
Absolutely. The other thing that, Stacy, we were talking about before we started this recording is, I think we as families need to maybe reconsider our mindset of how we spend vacation time. It's real easy to get caught in the trap of, it's time for vacation, so we're going to drop $5,000, and we're more than that maybe, and we're going to go to some exotic place where we stay in a fancy hotel, and we enjoy man-made amusement.
Or maybe it's entertainment based rather than
versus let's rent an RV, or if borrow a tent and a camp stove. And was it 2 years ago, my family and we took a 2-week trip up the Blue Ridge. We now live on the eastern side of the United States. So we took 2 weeks, and we just went from campsite to campsite up the Blue Ridge and just enjoyed everything we could see along it. And the kids absolutely loved it. And I have found my kids' memories are stronger when we're doing things that are outside. We're sitting around the campfire, looking at the stars, playing some songs on the guitar. And
great quality time with the family.
Yeah, learning skills and stuff like that, versus, or maybe going out to Yellowstone and Yosemite and some of those gorgeous places that are out west, instead of these, as much as it's fun to go to Epcot or Disney World or whatever, dropping $1,000 for your family to be able to go to some place like that for 1 day or 2 days.
Marlene,
take that same and do something that really makes an impact and positively on them. So
I purposely didn't stop you because you were on a good roll, but we are out of time. We need to have a part 4 for all that we want to cover with resources. So please join us for a bonus session next time. can find Moms on Break on Facebook, Instagram, and your favorite podcast service. Subscribe, like, and comment to be a part of all our Mom Talk. Moms on Break is a production of Pathway to Paradise Ministries.